Pivawuna
Nyakit Janet.
Jenny. Pivawum Matsume.
Sio.
Stongo.
Gwana.
Ansti Huntidish.
Kunamante.
Bedawaka.
Yate.
Gwina.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning, good morning. Coming live from 1950 South Shepherd. Here in Hell Reno, Helltown, the ghetto. How you been? How you been, Miss?
I'm feeling.
Are
Oh
you
yeah.
are you feeling that new nickname?
Yeah, really. Like literally up here.
Yeah, chili cheese, hot tater tot.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm feeling pretty good this morning. I am leaving tomorrow to go to New York.
wow,
That is, well, New York, New Jersey. I'll
Joyzy,
be in both, but
be in Joyzy.
yeah, I think it's setting in that I'm leaving for 5 days. I'm gonna leave my baby for a little,
Some self care,
yeah, some self care, definitely some time,
giving back.
Yes, absolutely. I'm feeling great, honestly. How are
That's
you?
cool, man. You know, I gotta say it's a day of progress, not perfection. You know, family's kind of been, going through it, but I think we understand like the prize on the other end, if you could put it that way. You know, just some things are meant to happen.
Mhm.
And the last thing I want to do is get in God's way.
Right.
So just allowing these prayers to come to life, allowing creator to do his job,
Mhm.
and understanding that there's a bigger picture.
Right.
So I woke up feeling great. Been seeing a lot of great a great just I guess more intentional.
Mhm.
Seeing some things where there's going to be more intent involved in the outcome.
Right.
So I'm staying positive. Which is really all you can do. I'm one of those the glass is half full type guy.
Mhm.
I always see the good. I always see the positive. Because I lived in that fear, anger, shame, and guilt.
Right.
For too long to understand that can overcome. It can be overcome. It can, but I also understand how it can overtake a person's life.
Mhm.
So being able to give both perspectives. Like, I do remember being that person that could not tolerate anything good, to now I can't tolerate anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good feeling to be on this end.
Mhm.
So that's basically my mental health check-in.
That's good.
you know
I just pray that you know, your family is also kind of my family,
yeah.
Posey's family, and
Mm-hmm.
like the mindset that you have as a person in recovery. It comes with time, and it is a blessing.
Yeah.
But to obtain that, you have to have gone through a lot.
Yeah, you got to go through the darkness.
So I pray that the family is seeing things in a light that you are,
Yeah.
seeing hope. So
Yeah, I mean, it felt good just being there.
right.
It felt good just being present and being able to say, hey, I know of a solution.
Mhm.
I'm not going to cram it down your throat, but if you want it, it's here. So I mean, I feel like I've already got like a positive reaction. Like the chain of events that's fixing to unfold itself. It doesn't benefit me at all.
Mhm.
Like me, myself, my own person. Like, I'm I keep my peace, and I guard my peace, but with everything that's going on, like I said, I'm sitting in that prayer. I'm sitting in the prayers, So it feels good. It just feels good to be that light. To
Yeah,
be that light.
for sure.
So I just see nothing but good things coming.
Hmm.
Nobody, it may not be, I understand. It might be cloudy. It might be, letting the dust settle. But I mean, it feels good. It feels good. Feels good. Just to be a positive role model.
Hmm.
You know, uh, it'll work out the way it has to.
Absolutely.
So, what are you excited about your trip? Like, what gets you?
Um, well, I have dreamed about being in New York for as long as I can remember.
Yeah,
And I don't know what it is. Fashion's a huge thing, food is a huge thing. Um, there's this stigma kind of surrounded by traveling that people think, you have to go and use and just because you're traveling, or like not use, but drink
yeah,
while
yeah,
you're
yeah,
on
yeah.
a trip.
Relax.
But I literally cannot wait to just try different foods. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Everything that I'm going to see. And of course, visiting my treatment center. I was telling everyone in the office last week, like, when I showed up there, I was a mess.
Yeah, of course.
And so walking back through those doors is going to be like so bittersweet. And then to show, like, to be able to tell them the impact that they made on my life.
Yeah,
You know, it's gonna be a huge day.
it is.
But other than that, I'm just excited to visit New York. It was funny when I had to fly into New York to go to treatment in New Jersey. That's just the only airport that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
had a flight. And
Is this the same airport that you're flying into?
yes,
Okay.
LaGuardia. And so I kind of called my mom and I was like, I've dreamed about going to New York since I was a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have never imagined that my first time would be going to rehab.
Yeah.
But here we
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
So getting to go back through that and really just be who I am today is going to be amazing.
definitely.
And that's like all the words I have because I'm still kind of shocked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. We appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a new producer this morning.
Yeah.
I've known her family for quite some time. Grew up with some of her aunts. My dad knows her grandma. And I remember her great grandma. You know,
Bye.
like it's just one of those things where like where they come from, their people. But would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Amber Beard. I am going to my junior year. I'm a summer youth, and yeah.
She enjoys long, quiet walks on the beach. Yeah.
Poetry. No.
Well, thank you, Amber. We appreciate you. Just being able to try something new. That's a big part of what we do. We like to expose kids, to something good. So we appreciate you sitting there today.
Yeah.
Would you mind reading some of the comments?
Ross, Rossi Harjo said,
Nyak it,
mm-hmm.
nyak it, brother.
He says, "Eat the
Yeah, I
Eat the
cannot
tea.
pronounce that.
Nakusate.
Oh yeah, I've heard you say that.
Itati Nakusate,
And then
brother.
Joshua said, Estonka.
Estongo. Estongo. Good morning, good morning.
Cash Blackberry
Good
said,
morning.
Happy late Father's Day, Barry, and hope you had a good one. And good morning, my native sister.
Hey, appreciate it. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate that.
And then Kimberly Sexton said, Asio.
Osio.
And
Good
then
morning, good morning.
Ray said, Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. We appreciate y'all tuning in with us. So yeah, it's I think the baddest auntie just went to 23rd and Meridian and MacArthur. 23rd and MacArthur. I don't know why I always say
I
Meridian.
think it's MacArthur.
Now you got me thinking. But it's over there off of 23rd. It's called Second Chance Thrift Store. They're going to be doing some outreach with the unhoused population. It's no secret that there has been a rise in positive syphilis and HIV cases, in that area. So that's why it's kind of like a targeted area where, Tor is going to be there. There's going to be a few other organizations there. They're going to be doing testing.
Yes.
They're going to be handing out some harm reduction supplies. And, if you're not too familiar with what harm reduction is, you think of it as, everybody takes part in harm reduction every day. Every day you get into a car and you put on a seatbelt, that is actually harm reduction.
Mhm.
So, these are supplies that can save a life. These are supplies that can keep we don't want people making a bad decision and it becoming a death sentence for them. So I think that's the easiest way to kind of understand, why Narcan out in the, just giving it out in the masses.
Mhm.
I think that's very important, amongst the unhoused population, because all these things all tie together with substance use.
Yes.
I think that's, a very important topic. And, that's why we do this. That's exactly why we talk about these things, is because, we don't want a bad decision to become a death sentence. So,
Absolutely.
that's where the Theta, I don't know how I came up with her name, the baddest auntie,
Yeah.
Theta. That's where she's headed right now. And the sister Shayna and Uncle Ron, they will be out there. Anybody seen Mingo?
Mm.
Not in like a week, huh? Mingo just be doing whatever the hell he want. I mean, but I'm pretty sure Darian's probably tuning in. So, I asked Darian to call me yesterday,
Mhm.
and he didn't.
What?
Yeah, he's trying to piss me off, but I ain't gonna let him. I'm gonna let him ruin my peace.
Right.
You know, yeah. I'm just talking my mess because he's not here.
I hope he sees this.
Yeah.
Show us your best Darian, and then I start using the drumstick.
You and Theta did the exact same thing.
Uh-uh.
When Theta sat down over there, I said, "Show me your best Darian impression," and she got the drumstick. So both of y'all did the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Or when he gets real crazy and it goes flying and he drops it.
Yeah. Yeah, his twitch.
Oh my gosh. We have a good office. We really.
Yeah, it's just hot in here today.
It is hot, but we have good vibes.
Our air conditioner went out. That's why we decided to get on a little bit early, so I can go down and just chill and get on everyone's nerves down there.
Yeah.
So, hey. Yeah. But yeah, I seen where everybody was headed to the wellness conference in Ignacio, Colorado.
Yeah.
Seeing a lot of my friends, heading over there.
That's awesome.
The brother Albert, Mr. Albert Tipman, Michael Duncan, Native Dads Network, I believe, Theta Newbreast. She's Blackfeet, I believe, and she'll be up there. The organization she's a part of.
Yeah.
She believes in women's wellness.
Okay.
She's a great man. You got to meet Theta.
Yeah, I gotta.
When we get the opportunity, like, you got to meet Theta. Like, she's such a great soul, and like all the white bison, like all the people I look up to,
Mhm.
they're all headed to Colorado today.
Yeah.
It's ceremony time around here. So when I seen the dates, I kept thinking, like, how are we gonna pull that off?
Right.
But then, we gotta respect what goes on around here.
Mhm.
We got to like it's the way I believe. So it worked out the way it needed to. So I wish everybody safe travels.
Yes.
I wish everybody has a great time, which I know they will. When it's a bunch of natives in sobriety, who are talking about wellness and sobriety and recovery and all the good things that our people need. Like it's a great place to be. Like you can feel that good medicine. Like when I got to go to Billings last year, and man, like it's left such a great impression on me. Like I still think about it. Like I still feel that, like what it was to be a part of that community. So just hope everybody makes it over there safe, and I know everybody's gonna have a good time. And of course, my phone would ring.
I bet that is such an amazing experience.
It is.
Whenever I first, Cassandra had brought it up to me and Theta and was like, "Are y'all going?" And like we had these plans. We were gonna all drive together and like go stay at Frida's house in Colorado.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, that's right when my
Yeah.
trip is. And then Theta, she'll be out next week for
Sundance.
ceremonies, and so it just didn't work out. But I know there will be plenty of opportunities
For sure. That's not even the Wellbriety conference.
right.
They're just one of the they're just one of the
Like partners.
yeah, you might as well say partners. I can't find the word right now, but yeah,
Little branch off from Wellbriety.
yeah. It's White Bison, but they're just one of the people that donated some of the funds to make this happen. So
Okay.
I would love to be there,
Mm-hmm.
but just the way that it works out is I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
So I don't question the creator no more.
Yeah.
Like if he wanted me there, I'm sure he'd have me there. So it is what it is. Do we have any more comments, Amber?
Yeah, from Rossi Harjo, we got keep up the good work, fam. I'm proud of you. Drew Wilson said,
Good morning, brother.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Council on Alcoholism and Addictions of the Finger Lakes.
Hey,
Good morning from the Finger Lakes.
hey, we
in New
appreciate
York.
you.
It's a
Oh,
good
they're
day
in
to
New
be
York.
sober.
Oh, hey, all right,
Good
thank
morning
you.
from Mitzi. Good morning from Janelle.
Good morning, Nene.
And then Mary Faye Blackout said,
Kikadoos.
wish I could go to a lot of good energy going to
Definitely.
be there and healing. Safe travels to all. And Theta New
Breast.
New breast.
And James Wayne Pedro said Niyakit.
Nyaki, brother.
Ron
morning.
said good morning from Elk City, USA.
Oh, hey, Uncle Ron. Oh, yeah, he wasn't gonna be able to go this morning,
Yeah, he's.
so it's just gonna be Shayna then.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I wish we.
And Theta.
Yeah, I wish we would have been able to send a guy.
Right.
I don't. Just for my own peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
You know.
Theta.
Yeah. Theta can hold her own.
I was telling Theta how and the first time I went there I was timid too until I
Yeah.
got comfortable, and I was telling her like how Shayna and Ron were a little timid last week, and she was like, "Oh girl, I'll get them out of their comfort zone." I said, "Yeah."
Theta cracks me up.
I love her.
Yeah, I've known her since we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've known her that long.
Theta were sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
We were co-workers. I started, and like a few weeks later we were headed to Lawton together. And
Yeah,
it's never been anything awkward, or like we're just like friends now, what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's
Theta's
awesome.
cool.
I appreciate friendships
Yeah.
like that.
I've known her since we were kids. So then while in my addiction, I remember running into her.
Mhm.
But it was kind of like an awkward situation because of the circumstances that were going on.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be like, hey, I remember you when we were kids, but then that would have like made everything extra awkward, more awkward than it already was.
Yeah.
But I've known her for quite a while, so it's cool. It's cool to see people, make that change.
Mhm.
Well,
For sure. Meditation.
meditation time.
Yes.
I'm over here sweating bullets.
Me too. Okay. Today is June 17th. Your power comes from the songs. Ethel Wilson Kowachon. Did I say that right? Kowachon?
However you want to say it.
Okay. If you do not know any of the songs, ask an elder to teach you. Get yourself a drum. When you sing a song and play the drum, you'll be surprised how your mind, body, and spirit will react. Everything becomes calm and joyful. Our bodies love the songs. The songs allow us to touch the hand of the Creator. When we sing and touch the Great Spirit's hand, He gives us power. Songs are another way to pray. My grandfather teach me a song today.
Mm.
Wow.
You want me to go first? Or you want to go first?
I'll go first. So, I'm not going to sing a song.
Oh.
But what I thought about was, I was at the gourd dance. When was that, last week?
Mm-hmm.
That was my first time being at a dance since probably high school. And Josie kept begging me, come dance with me, Mom, come dance with me, And I sent her out there to go dance next to Natalie because I just wasn't ready. And finally I'm like, you know what?
After you watch it be done, you kind of.
What is holding me back?
Yeah.
I'm holding myself back. And going out there in that circle again was just, you could feel it in the drum, in the song, it felt good. I could feel the energy in the room.
Yeah.
So that's what I think of. I think it's beautiful every time someone's, there's people around the drum and they're singing. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
yeah. I get that.
I'm not good at singing, so I just not gonna sing. But I think you can sit in prayer listening to
Definitely.
songs too. So
You can sing them in your head.
yeah. Oh, I was singing in my car when no one's looking. No, that's really all I got.
Well, I appreciate you, reading that. Appreciate, the women's perspective.
Mhm.
When I think about, will you read it again?
Yeah.
Just the top part.
Your power comes from the songs.
Yeah. Okay. It's like I started sweating whenever I was about 10 years old. I got invited by, my bro PR, Frank Littlehead. He's Northern Cheyenne. He's the one that drove us out to my Uncle Duck's. And they were sweating out there. So I got to, I'm 10 years old. I got to go do what men do. And I remember some of the songs, I don't remember exactly what songs, but I remember like the impression that it made on my life. I felt like I found something in there. And I had to go back, I wanted to keep looking, and find what it was that I don't know, it made me feel whole in there. And I'm sure in the hell ain't no damn singer, but my understanding today is that drum is the heartbeat of the people. When that drum's going, man, it just does something. They say it calls people. People are attracted to those vibrations.
Yeah.
People can feel those things, it's like a high frequency going on, in these places where these dance have, there's healing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned sweat songs first, and then kind of, paid attention to Sundance songs, and for a long time I couldn't, yeah, of course I knew 49 songs, but I couldn't sing no other songs. Powwow just wasn't. It just really, it really wasn't a part of my life anymore.
Mhm.
I remember being head little boy. I remember, you know, uh, being introduced, being exposed, to those things, and it's just kind of like today, after sobering up and understanding that the culture is the solution, right? The culture is the solution. I
Mhm.
look at all my brothers who stayed close to that drum. They didn't have the same problems that I did. They didn't have these periods in their life where they became disconnected from who they are and were questioning their beliefs, were questioning all these things, that were going on in their life. They stayed close to that drum. They knew these songs. And then, I used to think, well, I don't want to know, powwow's not a part of my life.
Mhm.
So I don't have to know powwow songs. Gourd dance songs, I don't gourd dance, like. But then you start to understand, like, that's a social thing, like the fellowship that goes on at these places.
Yeah.
Like you find you become part of people's families.
Mhm.
Like you start feeling like a part of this thing. Like that's my community. I want to be around these things. I want to learn, everything that there is to learn. I want to know, I want to know the history of it. I want to know where this came from. I want to know this song. I want to know that song. Like to me, like the songs are what brings it all together.
Right.
I try to learn as many gourd dance songs as I can. I love gourd dancing and knowing the song.
Mhm.
And there's all kinds of songs though. Being Cheyenne, you learn prayer songs, Sundance songs, gourd dance songs. You learn peyote songs. I mean, there's just so many. You learn Cheyenne hymns.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many different ways that our language and our culture are tied into these things. Like it becomes a beautiful thing. And I used to be ashamed, like, to sing. I remember one time, my uncle Frankie, he would always sing this same song, and it was like the first song that I ever learned.
Mhm.
I remember him like singing this song over and over and over and over, until I picked it up. And one time I was singing, and he tapped me on the shoulder during the sweat, and he said, "I heard you."
Wow.
And I don't know, like I just felt this sense of pride.
Yeah, I bet that felt good.
Because I know my uncle thought that I was Ma Bane. My uncle thought that I was crazy.
Mhm.
He probably didn't think I had which I didn't. I didn't have a whole lot of sense. But it was kind of like a shining moment for me.
Yeah.
Where he acknowledged that he knows that I know that song. And I don't know if it was his favorite song, but he sang it every time we sweat. So going over to his house, he made sweating a part of my life.
Mhm.
He made these songs a part of my life. And then my dad, he was always there with me. But it was like my uncle was facilitating the place where we go. He had the lodge.
Yeah.
So, it was like we went over to his house. And I remember those types of things, and I remember the sense of pride once I knew a song, just one song.
Mhm.
And then you start to pray for these things. You start to ask for these things, and you start to find a sense of pride in knowing, like, this is what helped my people here heal for thousands and thousands of years.
Right.
are these songs, are these ceremonies, are like that's who I am.
Mhm.
So when I get the chance, I'm not scared. I'll sing a song. I'm not gonna sing one today, but when I get the opportunity and we're in the circle,
Yeah.
I don't mind. I'm not ashamed anymore of who I am,
I
where
didn't
I
know
come
that
from.
you could sing.
Yeah,
And then you sang at one of our well variety trainings, wasn't that?
yeah,
Yeah, that was awesome. I didn't know you could sing, so that's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. I'm not scared. I'm not scared anymore. I understand like this is what my people turn to. This is who my people are. And this is probably what has saved our people through time. All the trials and tribulations that it took for me to be here, to know these songs. Like I can't even imagine, what our people had to go through.
Yeah.
But they prayed that we carry these songs on. So it means a lot to me to be able to pass those things down.
Mhm.
And to help our kids understand, like, you know, you, you ain't gonna find any comfort in rap,
Right.
heavy metal, like like all these different forms of music. Man, there's nothing wrong with understanding who you are.
Mhm.
I did those things, right? you know um I looked into all these other cultures that were not mine, and I tried to find myself there.
Right.
And when it came down to it, it did not exist. It didn't make me feel whole. So I would have to say that learning our songs, man, it woke something up.
Mhm.
And I've been trying to feel this hole that's been right in the middle of my chest. And every time I learn a little bit more about my culture, I learn a little bit more about myself. So I love today's reading. It makes all the sense in the world to me. Our songs is who we are.
Mhm.
And I got a brother. Man, he to him culture is culture. Language is language. He don't care what language it is. If you can talk your language, he just wants to hear it. So when I get the chance and I hear a good song, man, I'll send it to him. And we kind of joke around, about whatever situation it is. But I mean, riding with him, we'd be riding to the ranch, and he'd be playing these these Pueblo songs.
Mhm.
He really liked, listening to these Pueblo songs, and they're beautiful, beautiful songs. You hear different songs from all over, and like they're beautiful.
Yeah.
I think about them bird singers. I think about just different tribes and their different songs. Like it's all Creator made all that possible. And I'm proud. I'm proud to be who I am. I'm proud of where I came from. So there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with learning a song today,
Mhm.
where I didn't feel like that 20 years ago.
Right.
So
By listening
yeah,
and
about 20 years ago was Master P. Yeah.
will you go back to the comments? There you go. We have lots. You might need to scroll
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit.
Go ahead and read them out. Amba.
Let's see. Okay. Anessa Madable said, "Good morning."
Good morning, sis.
Morning.
Edwina Horse Chief said, "Good morning from Richard Trant Affiliate
Hey,
Tribes Tour Program, now known as Bear Program."
Good morning.
appreciate you. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you.
Leslie Short
Short teeth.
said, "Good morning, Brother Barry."
Hey, good morning, sis. Y'all are neighbors.
And then Laney Black said, "Good morning. I've been having a hard time lately, but looking forward to my 1,000 days sober this Sunday,
Hey, all right, Lainey.
knowing I can stay sober this long. Thank you guys for the support.
Man, we appreciate you sharing that, niece. I've known Lainey since she was a baby. One time, one time when she was with her mom and we was at Walmart or something, she told her mom said Barry and my kid's mom Carrie, Barry and Carrie used to babysit you whenever you were a little tiny baby. She goes, dang, mom, you used to leave us with anybody. But at the time we were like 16, 17. We weren't afraid that she was a single mother trying to work. She worked at Lucky Star. So we would go over there while she was at work and sit with her kids. And I knew all her kids. Bina, I knew all of them. So it's, I appreciate you tuning in, Lainey. We'll be praying for you. That's a huge deal.
Keep going.
1,000 days
Oh my
is a
gosh.
huge deal.
Yes.
And then Mary Bieber said, "Good morning, tour."
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
Daniel Given says, "Songs are powerful. There are some Creek hymns that will give me goosebumps when singing them. I love it. That's when you know the spirits is with you."
Oh, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
Cash Black Bear said, "April 28th, I'll be sober off fentanyl."
Hey, that's huge. That's huge, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you sharing that with us.
Sundance time. I'm ready to enjoy being up there and ceiling.
Hey, all right, all right. We need you, brother. We need you
And then
every day.
Council of Alcoholism and Addiction just sent an emoji.
Appreciate you. Appreciate for the comment.
Olivia Friday Loneman said, "I'm out of state trying to get to a Sundance soon." Cash Black Bear said, "We need to teach our kids our ways like how we grew up. I'm
Definitely.
blessed to have learned from my grandma."
Yes, you are. You're very fortunate. That was a lot of knowledge. She was man. She had a lot of knowledge.
Said, "I've been listening to recordings from the weekend, and man, it gives me energy and strength to continue on every time I hear them."
Hey, we appreciate you sharing that with us. That's where the truth is. Them songs don't lie.
And Nessa Madbo said, "I would like to learn. Never knew my natal side." Olivia Friday Loneman said, "My dad was raised by his white grandparents. Everything has been able learning and reclaiming for him and for me."
Definitely, definitely. And that's the thing about being in recovery today is you get a chance to discover who you were, who you are, and who you're going to be. Like that's the great thing about recovery is you get to recover all this lost knowledge and all these lost feelings. That you might have felt shame and guilt about. Like it's a to me it just opens up a whole nother gateway of wellness. A whole nother gateway of understanding who we are and where we come from. We didn't know about drugs. We didn't know about alcohol. We don't smoke weed. That's not our way. And I that's why I like Wellbriety because it wants you to get back to your roots. Wants you to get back to nature and wants you to get back to all the things that are God given. Through the Creator, through Mother Earth. These those were our teachers. And it's a beautiful thing. I was told that our language was given to us. These medicines were given to us. So I think it's a beautiful thing that we still have these things today. Because a lot of people don't. That a lot of people don't have these things. So I feel fortunate. I feel blessed. That I get to be Cheyenne today. So.
Cash Black Bear said, "Cheyenne hymns, and it took time, but thanks to my little big brother Billy Youngbird, I hope
Yeah,
the Sundance songs."
definitely. Billy's a good one. He catches hell a lot.
Yeah.
Little Mahio. But you know what, man? I've known Billy most of my life, and you give him a chance, man. He's a great guy. He really cares about our people. And I could never say anything bad about Billy. I like to tease him. He's my brother. I've known him since we were kids.
Mhm.
But it's he helps out a lot. And he knows a lot. So I love the fact that he's somebody that we can turn to. When our people are having trouble. So Billy's a good one. I like Billy.
Jake Chappell said, "Good morning. We have songs for everything for a reason."
Yes, for sure.
Daniel Gibbons said, "I've been told even if you don't know the song, hum it. The ancestors will still hear you."
Yeah, and exactly.
James Wayne Pedro said, "I remember going to meetings as a little guy with my dad. Hearing him sing those songs were very special."
Definitely.
And Leah Sesmans said, "Good morning." Jake Chappell said, "Billy's all right by me. LOL."
Yeah. Billy's a good one, man. That's my brother.
Andrea said, "Good morning."
Good morning, AA.
Good morning.
So yeah, things are, I won't be here next week. When are you coming back?
I'll be back on Monday.
So you'll be doing the lives next week?
Yeah, I can do that.
So, that'll be coming up soon. Things are kind of, from my understanding, the arrow keeper moved in. So, that ceremony is going to be going on. Supposed to be staying still. Everybody's supposed to be staying still and being quiet, and praying for that ceremony. So, it's just that time of year. It's almost New Year. Our Cheyennes. We believe that our New Year begins when that Sundance ends. So it's always a great time to me because that's when I see all my people happy. I see tears of joy being shed. I see families hugging. You see everybody, shaking hands, hugging, Happy New Year. Like it's that time is here, and I'm just thankful. I get to be a part of it today. So do you have anything else?
I just want to talk about, our youth workers.
Yeah.
Want to just give them
Mm,
recognition
yes.
for showing up, and I was able to hold a circle for them yesterday afternoon, and
Yeah.
it was, I thought I was gonna have to pick on them a little bit to get them to talk.
Yeah.
I told them, I said, you don't have to say anything if
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to, but they did,
That's cool.
and I think that it's really cool. Just the impact that we get to have in their lives and they get to have on ours.
Definitely.
And so we are going to do a little workshop with them at 10 o'clock today on building a resume so that they have some skills and different things to take with them. But I also hope that they take recovery and healing and culture from us too.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with them. I hope that everyone that's headed to Colorado has safe travels. I hope that each and every person that commented and interacted with us today be blessed. That's really all I got.
Well, I hope you have a safe trip as well.
Thank you.
Hope you make the connections that you need to make. I hope you get to taste every food that you want to try. I hope you deserve it.
Thank you.
You deserve to be happy. You deserve, a great trip. I hope you have the time of your life. But most importantly, I hope you bring them blessings home in a safe way.
Mhm.
In a good way. So have fun.
Absolutely.
Have fun. Don't be too. Don't have that. I do got $5 look.
Don't worry, I'll be with my mom, and she
Yeah.
definitely does not have $5. Okay, She said she tuned in this morning for the first time, so that's pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. We appreciate you, Anna.
Her ride to Kingfisher this morning. So.
We appreciate you, Anna.
Oh, a few things too. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we will still have the women's meeting.
Yes.
I don't. Well, there won't be anyone here tomorrow to go live.
There will be.
Oh,
There will be.
okay.
I mean, I'm gonna be here.
I thought y'all were going to Watonga.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's
Men's
right.
Health Day in Woodland.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
We can do it on our phone if we have to.
that's true.
Go
But
back
yeah,
to the
so
grassroots.
Farah will be here cheering the women's meeting on
Appreciate you, Farah.
Thursdays. We have our, it's just a pretty open circle. I think Dave allows someone else to help him with the topic, and it's,
Yeah.
I really like the way Dave runs a meeting. So
Yeah.
that's a good one at 7 p.m. here at 1950, and try out our men's meeting on Friday.
Friday nights.
You don't know, who you might connect with at that meeting. So that is all that I have today.
All right. Well, we wish you, all the blessings
Thank you.
to and fro. And have fun. Have fun. We'll be thinking about you while you're gone. But like, share, follow. Tell your mammy about us. And thank you, Amber, Miss Amber Beard. We appreciate you. Sitting there for us today. It really means a lot to me. And I appreciate what our youth workers do around here. So, just be glad we ain't making you clean every day like last year. So, but yeah, we will see you
See you soon.
soon. I hope.